Right.
And I think they have a kind of a favorable schedule down the stretch, I believe.
You'd think because they were so bad that they probably have
the
like
record
a
was bad
really
last year.
easy schedule. So, all right, guys, let's do this again Wednesday, and maybe by then the overreaction mobs will be successful, and Tomlin will be fired, and Ben will be benched, and
oh my gosh,
Connor will be put to a guillotine or whatever's all the things that will magically fix the team, because clearly a team that's 7-3 has tons of issues.
Yes.
Terry Bradshaw may be our new head coach come Wednesday.
I'm okay with that.
For him.
I'm okay with that. I want heck, I'd take Jimmy Johnson.
It could be possible they had a bit of a overlooked game where they were looking past to the Chargers this week too, so they weren't maybe not quite as focused.
Yeah, it's a tough place to play at the end of the day. It's not like the Steelers have had the greatest success there. So I mean,
they've had a couple good wins, but they're still like 3-7 there in their last 10 or something like that.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's either the altitude or, remember, recreational marijuana is legal in the States. Just saying.
You missed out, Lev.
Yeah,
missed out,
maybe he'll sign with Denver now.
Le'Veon, no, you cannot sign. You cannot sign before the Denver game. I'm sorry.
I'll bet like before the deadline for him to come in, he's like, guys, I don't care about the rest of the schedule, but can I please come with the team to Denver?
Just be there.
Mr. Rooney, come on, one game check. Denver, come on.
I'll be good for one game.
Well, the one funny stat I saw before we go is that Alejandro Villanueva now has more touchdowns on the season than Martavis Bryant.
That was funny. Yeah.
Which is great. That was a ballsy call. I thought that was going to take him the whole second half.
For that matter, I think.
Yeah, James Washington too. Oh no, I think he got a touchdown one of the first.
It's one of those.
Yeah, he does have one.
But one of the things, they should do that more often. Use that guy, because I mean, he used to be a wide receiver, or a tight end, or something like that. Like, imagine trying to cover
I know, he's so
a
tall
6'9", 350-pound guy. Like if he's running at me, I'm like, dude, do whatever you want. I'm done. Like, they're not paying me enough to try to go through you, so do whatever you want. You want to score a score? I don't care. I mean, like, how do you stop a guy like that? That should be your red zone threat right there.
Most defensive backs would need a ladder just to get up there.
Seriously. All right, guys.
That was fun.
I'll catch you Wednesday.
All right, guys.
See you guys.
Goodbye. Okay, now for our very first movie review on the podcast. We will be reviewing Creed 2, and with me to review it is Tucker Booth. He is at Tuckerdale Booth on Twitter. He's a professional entertainer and music teacher. Tucker, how you doing? Welcome.
Joe, man, glad to be here in the donut bag. I got to say, what I love most about you from the get-go is that your Twitter handle is Joey Bag of Donuts. If I was a gangster, I would want to be Tucky Bag of Donuts. So I felt akin to you right from the get. Glad to be on the show, Mike.
There you go. Tucky Bag of Donuts. I like it.
Yes, sir. Glad to be here.
Okay, so Creed 2 just came out, and I saw it Friday. And you saw it yesterday?
Yes, sir. Last night.
Okay. Before we talk about it, you said you just recently watched Creed 1. What did you think of the first Creed movie?
Well, I got to say, whenever I am going to watch any sequel or installment in a long-running franchise like the Rocky series, I'm wary to begin with. I'm a critic that surely is very, very distrustful of formula or schlock on any level. And I know as the Rocky series progressed, we were just talking off air, it seems like it's gotten progressively schlockier with each sequel. So I was not expecting a ton. I do know Michael B. Jordan is a very fine actor that is surely getting a lot of love for Black Panther and other movies he's been in recently, but I wasn't expecting much. I was pleasantly surprised by Creed 1. I thought it was a strong entry in the Rocky series. I feel like Stallone returned to form with the character, and this is obviously the character he's born to play for sure, not Rambo, not any of the other ones. But I really liked the chemistry between Michael B. Jordan and Stallone. I love the supporting cast. Love seeing Felicia Rashad showing up and stuff. Thought the girlfriend was strong. Really just was surprised, though I could guess every twist and turn, how much I still genuinely enjoyed watching it and how much heart there was in it and how touching it was. I cried in the first scene. I cried in the last scene. And granted, I cry at Fruity Pebbles commercials, Joe, but, bottom line is it was touching. And that's saying a lot for a boxing film that surely most people just think is a bunch of knuckleheads, right?
Dude, I'm the same way. I cry a lot. And I actually cried a lot during Creed 2 also. But I think that's the theme of Creed 1 and Creed 2 is we kind of know what's going to happen. There's not a whole lot of surprises. There's a formula there. I mean, this is what, the 8th movie or something like that. This Rocky character, Rocky is what he is. There is a story there, but yeah, you know what's going to happen, but it still works because the story is still relatively good and the actors really pull it off. Like you said, Michael B. Jordan, he's great. He was awesome in Black Panther, and who's it? Tessa Thompson is the love interest, Bianca, and she does a great job too. I mean, the acting is really good. The general story is pretty good. So even though we know what you're gonna get in a Rocky movie, it still works. It seems like.
I like the humor too. I think, the pacing was great, but I was surprised at the dialogue and how humorous it was. And obviously they're juxtaposing Rocky's old man ways against these new young whippersnappers and whatnot. But a lot of really genuinely laugh out loud moments in the first and the second one. I appreciated that they broke it up with some humor. I think also the African-American struggle, which is surely in the spotlight in both of these new installments, is profound, especially right now at this moment in history where I feel like Black Lives Matter and many of these other social justice movements are kind of at their peak again. You see this young man who grew up with no dad, but also with all of these huge expectations that, he put on himself, being the illegitimate son of Apollo Creed. And then also, the world and how quick they are to tear him apart, which is surely also, vamping on the times. And how cruel the world seems to have become again, especially towards minorities. So I appreciate that Stallone continues to keep his finger on the pulse of what's going on in the world. And I think every Rocky movie, just like any Star Wars movie, is trying to reflect the times as well. And I think both of these did a great job in the Creed installments of being abreast of what's going on in the world and kind of staying focused on maybe some helpful ways for us to find catharsis in all of these challenges.
Yeah, and as without giving anything away, because we talked about we'll do a non-spoiler version first. Just overall, let's say out of 4 stars, how many would you give this?
For the first Creed, I would give it, and I have a very severe grading scale, by the way. I go 5 stars as being the greatest movie I've ever seen. I would give the first Creed a 3.5, and that's a strong review for me. That means I really enjoyed it a lot.
Out of 5?
Out of 5. The formulaic nature knocks it down into the 3-star range, but it showed a lot of heart. And like I said, I like the humor. I like the pacing. I like the chemistry between all of them, but especially between Jordan and Stallone. I think Stallone did Oscar-worthy acting in it, and so did Jordan. So I'll give it a strong 3.5 for the first. For the second, I'm going to give it a 3, but again, strong review. I think it was a great sequel to Creed. And I think it showed a lot of heart. It was entertaining. I just shed some tears. So I'll give it a strong 3 on my scale.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, I mean, you like I said, you know what you're going to get, but they still pulled it off very well. So, okay. So let's get into our spoiler version. So, if you're listening to this, you don't want to know anything else. The spoiler version, you've been warned. Spoilers. Okay.
Ooh, here they come.
Okay. So the movie starts, it's a little bit after the first one, because in the first one, he fights, I don't know if it was the champ or something like that in England, and he doesn't win, but he proves himself, and he does well for himself. So So that works. So in this one, he's won some matches. He goes against this heavyweight champion who's not so good. He wins the heavyweight title. And okay, so fine. And then they show Ivan Drago's kid, Victor Drago. I'm not sure if this guy is an actor or a boxer. Do you know that?
Well, I know that I've seen some pictures of him on Twitter, bud, and this guy stays yoked. So whether he's an actor or not, he is surely a fitness guru.
Oh God, he's a monster. Yeah, I mean, you know, the thing about Ivan Drago was he, you know, he's just a physical specimen, just a, you know, and then the height difference between, you know, Ivan Drago and Stallone and you know, Apollo Creed was huge, but and this guy is just almost as tall as Ivan Drago. That it was driving me crazy all movie. It's like, what is Ivan Drago's the actor's name? It like.
Oh, you're talking about Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah. Halfway through the movie, I almost yelled in theater, Dolph Lundgren. It was driving
the
me
Universal
crazy.
Soldier. He's back.
He God, I love his hair. That dude still has great hair for however old he is. But
he looks amazing. So does Bridget Nielsen popping up in it. Wow. How great does she look? Wow.
She looks great, and they didn't really explain what she was doing. I mean, obviously, it's like, well, she left them, and because you know, the story is after Ivan Drago loses 35 years ago, basically his life is ruined because he lost and brought dishonor to Mother Russia and stuff like that. I mean, you know. There's always the joke of that the speech after Rocky IV, where Rocky makes a speech and basically quote unquote ends the Cold War. That's how some people remember it. That he brings Russia and the United States together with his wonderful speech. But
I was going to get to that. I felt like Creed 2 was not only harking back to Rocky IV, but it's back because of all of this civil unrest between the United States and Russia again politically. I mean, you know, Stallone had to be thinking about that when he made this choice. And what I like about the battle with the Dragos is that they're cheaters, right? In Rocky IV, he's on steroids. In this one, they play dirty and they break the rules on purpose in the ring. So they're painting Russia as cheaters, which obviously, if we're debating politics, that's what the narrative is. However, they also make them look very human, don't they? They make the Dragos look almost sympathetic from the beginning till the end. You know, they're living in abject poverty. They're living in disgrace. The wife left them. Everyone thinks that they're nothing. You know, they're working on the docks as crate workers again.
Right.
So you feel their pain. You know why they're struggling. And you see Creed on the other side, who's kind of always had it nice, at least since he got sprung in the beginning from the group home, because he's Apollo's son living in the lap of luxury. So they show them, you know, in the big hotel, living the dream. And then you see the Dragos over there going, this is our only way out. I appreciated that. I also appreciated that at the end that Drago takes compassion on his son and allows him to stop by throwing in the towel instead of letting him get killed in the ring or potentially get killed. I think that gives a lot of credence, pun intended, to the fact that, you know, that these guys aren't just monsters, villains like most movies paint the bad guy to be. So I appreciated that too. And I think that is Stallone's way of trying to give people a little bit of hope about the Russian-American virtual Cold War that's going on now.
Yeah. It was really nice. It was pretty neat because in the beginning of the movie, he's just pushing his kid to train like almost killing him and training him. And, in the end, there was always that plot from Rocky IV of, Ivan Drago killed a Creed, and they make it a point to say, well, Rocky should have thrown in the towel. Rocky, basically, Rocky was almost partially responsible for Apollo Creed dying. And I mean, that was kind of a theme this movie. And, that was just hanging over, Adonis, in the beginning of, hey, this is the guy that killed your dad, and now his son is there. So I mean, it was just really cool.
Well, and also how family tied in for Rocky as well, because we were talking about how in Rocky Balboa, that was about him and his son trying to find some kind of connection because his son is a cream puff that's not